Hello, my name is Oliver Lohse. I'm a TCM therapist in Germany, right now in Thailand here, as part of a bigger trip one year which I spent in Asia. And I want to talk about an issue which somebody just approached me about, and that is laser operation on the eye. I did that myself. I'm 38 right now, and I was for 30 years of my life having very thick glasses. And laser operation exists maybe since I'm 25 or so. I think I'm aware of that, maybe earlier, doesn't matter. And I followed the whole procedure until that time, because I was very interested, because I had like 4.5 minus on the left eye and around 6.5 minus on the right eye, plus astigmatism. So I was very interested in getting rid of those thick glasses which would dominate my whole life. And maybe you're unaware of that. Until today there are 3 different types of operation for the eye to get rid of myopia. Also presbyopia, but I don't know much about that because most of us have myopia, and I was one of those. So what happens in the oldest generation of laser operation is that the laser will carve from the outside of your cornea something away, so that the breaking point of the light will be adjusted to your die Netzhaut, retina. So there are 3 different types of laser surgery on the eye to treat, in my case, myopia. And probably the most of those who consider a laser surgery will have myopia as well. And what happens in the oldest generation is that the laser carves away an exterior layer of the cornea to adjust the focal point of the light beams, that they focus right on the retina where this is supposed to be. All the other surgeries do that, of course, as well. So all of them manipulate the cornea. The difference is where and how. So when you carve outside on the cornea, it will cause scar tissue. It will be painful, because the nerve endings ending on the eye, on the cornea, will be hurt. And because it's outside, there will be a longer healing process. They say about 1 month to 3 months, and it might be a little bit painful, which it is not in the other 2 surgery forms. The second surgery form, I think that's called LASIK. The oldest one is called LASIK or LASIK, and the other one's the same way. One is LASIK, one is LASIK. Doesn't matter. The second one is that the cavity which you carve is inside of the cornea. And to get inside the cornea, what they would do is they would cut a piece like this, cut a layer off your cornea, would flap that to the side, Then the laser would do the same thing like in the first generation, and then they would put that flap back again. And that flap would kind of get, first by adhesion and later by growing, would get fixed back on the point where it's supposed to be. I never really trusted that process because I work in medics myself, and I know that there's not much metabolism, there's not much moving going on in the cornea. It's supposed to be an area where there's not much movement. It needs to be crystal clear. So the best case, there are no blood vessels, there are only the finest fibers of nerve endings you can imagine, because everything would disturb the crystal structure where the light needs to get through. So the cornea only gets nourished by diffusion, not by capillaries or something like that. And therefore, the healing quality of this kind of tissue is just not very good. So I never trusted that this kind of flap will ever be as tight and as fixed as it needs to be. Just imagine like you have a car accident and you get an airbag in your face, or you get a punch, or you just fall somehow and it touches your eye, or maybe you rub your eyes too hard. What happens with that flap? I didn't trust that thing. So for me, that kind of operation is and was out of question. The next generation is very good, and that's really like, I think it's like, I heard it first time 5 years ago or so maybe about it. They call that Relex Smile, and what they do is they can adjust the laser today that it burns in a certain kind of depth in your cornea. So they can adjust the energy that it creates a bubble. It burns a bubble in your cornea at a certain depth. So like this, they can create a three-dimensional shape, and the doctor makes a tiny cut at the side, comes into it with some kind of pins, what's the word in English, pincers, and pulls that thing out like you would rip off a stamp from a block of other stamps. This is what I did 1.5 years ago. So when I heard about that kind of surgery, I was convinced that's good for me, good enough, and I looked out for a place to do that kind of surgery. I checked out a place in Berlin and places in Turkey via internet. I was at the hospital in Berlin, and one or two in Czech Republic. So what does it say about the whole procedure? Because it's important. Maybe some of you think, medical standards in Turkey or in Eastern Europe? I don't know. Don't worry about that. 95% of the surgery does the machine, and it's the same machine everywhere. I think all of them come from Zeiss. The computer calculates your cornea, the computer calculates everything about your eye and how that piece needs to be, how the shape of that piece needs to look like. That's gonna be removed, and then the laser does that. And these super high precision instruments No doctor fumbles around with them because this is just optimized by scientific research in the background, and the computer does these kind of operation. What the doctor does is at the end he will do a tiny cut in the cornea, and then he will pull that out. Of course, your doctor should be experienced, but then again, who's more experienced in this kind of procedure? The doctor who is expensive and has a shiny, nice hospital, and has a couple of patients a week, or the doctor who is cheap and he needs to finance his machine with many patients and therefore does this thing several times a day. Who is a better doctor and who is better qualified for this kind of thing? I think the answer is clear. So there's absolutely no issue in going to a place like Turkey or Czech Republic. Maybe politics is a reason. I wouldn't go to Turkey these days. And so I decided to go to a place in Prague, and I did the Relex Smile, and the whole procedure takes 15 minutes, of which 13 minutes are waiting. You get some drops in the eye so that the eye relaxes. You also get a pill so that you get a little bit relaxed, some kind of tranquilizer. And then the whole operation itself takes 2 minutes, 1 minute per eye. The laser comes, you will lie on your back, the laser will be in front of your eye, and what will happen is that when the laser cuts, because it's making like countless bubbles in your eyes, it's like when you have glasses and it's cold outside and you enter a warm room and the humidity falls on your glass and you don't see anything anymore. So that's what the bubbles do in your eyes. That's a scary moment for 10 seconds. Then the doctor pulls that out, presses once or twice on the eye, and that's it. You see clear. For 30 years, I couldn't see my own feet when I would take a shower. Then it took 1 minute and it was over. It was perfect vision, perfectly clear. No pain. Just a weird feeling when they fix your eyeball for that minute. Yeah, that feels weird, but it's not painful. Then you stand up and it's done. You see. You see as you should. So that's super. And now that I have 1.5 years of experience with it, I can tell you something about that. Have you ever wondered how pineapples grow? Me neither, but these are pineapple plants, palms. And they grow in the middle of the plant. Wait, I can show you a little closer. See that? Here, oops. The middle of the plant grows the pineapple. Down there. Anyway, okay, I'm in Thailand still, and right, I think that hill is the border to Myanmar. And let's talk about what happened so far after the surgery on my eyes. First of all, I am very happy, like 95% happy. The left eye is 120%. I can see better than with any glasses ever in my career of 30 years with glasses. Never saw so good. The right eye is so and so. The right eye was the more complicated one, and I have a it was worse, and then had astigmatism, and there's probably a little astigmatism left. So when I look in the distance, it might be like 90 or 95%. So I could wear glasses for this one to get like minus 0.5 dioptrin on top of that. Or what I could also do, I talked with the surgeon, what I could also do is re-laser the whole thing. But there's one thing. The laser surgery, the re-laser, would be part of the contract, so it would not cost me anymore. But the cornea with every surgery gets a little thinner, and my cornea now is too thin to do another Relex Smile surgery. And also this second generation LASIK with the flap, which I wouldn't do anyway. What we could do is the first generation one, where the surface will be, let's call it razored. And because I'm right now on an Asia trip, which takes 1 year, and it was shortly before I would start that trip, I said no, forget it. And I'm still thinking yes and no. I could live like that and I would be super happy. I'm very satisfied and I would do it again. And I think everybody who has more than 2.5 minus, it's recommendable. But you always have to keep in mind, nature does the best stuff, and no matter how good the surgeon will be, it's not as good as you have a naturally grown organ. So because there is now a cut within the cornea, which is unnatural, by night I have flares, I have auras. These come on top of what makes me sense that my right eye isn't that good, because during the nighttime, subjectively, my sharpness goes down. So I'm super sharp during day, but depending on the light conditions, it might get worse. And you still can drive a car, and you still can do more or less everything, but it will not be as crisp during the night as it was before. Keep that in mind. This is one thing, and the other thing is just there's a risk. I've seen myself, I had 2 eyes to work on, and one eye is perfect and one eye is semi-perfect. And it could also have been worse. I think I was unlucky. I think others have much more luck, and most of them have much more luck. But it could also have been much worse. And that's every time you do a surgery that you take that risk. So if your eyes are not that bad, let's say like if they're better than -2, I wouldn't suggest that. Simply because of the risk, not because it wouldn't be better afterwards. But it's not worth it. I, with -4.5 and -6.5 plus astigmatism, would definitely do it again. Another effect is that I think it took 2 weeks and I totally forgot that I ever wore glasses. I wore them for 30 years, but pretty soon, like after 2 weeks, I did not unconsciously grab into my face to put off my glasses when I would go into a shower, or when I would enter a room in the winter. I would expect that my glasses get foggy. These kind of things, you get used to it within an instant. And now actually really I can't remember anymore how it was. I can't really remember how it was. My brain just cut it out and it's gone. And now I can be sure that if I walk in the wilderness here, and I don't need to worry if I'm gonna have a problem because my glasses will get broken or something like that. I enjoy this freedom very, very much. Okay, so if you have any questions about the whole thing, post it below and I will be happy to answer your questions. If you think about going to Prague also, I can recommend my clinic very much. That's called Oftum, O-F-T-U-M. They are tip-top in their quality. It's professional, it's clean, it's the newest generation of machines. The doctor takes an hour to talk with you about everything, what might come into your mind or about the procedure, so you're gonna be very well informed, and after that talk you make a decision which surgery you want and if you want a surgery. And as I said, if there is some problem, if it's not perfect, then the contract you make with the clinic says that you're gonna redo the surgery as often as it makes sense and as often as it's necessary. So this clinic, very good, often is recommendable. Okay, please tell me if you have any questions or want to add your own experiences. Post them below, because I was looking everywhere for feedbacks, for experiences, and all I could find was either positive feedbacks on the pages from the clinics, which I don't think is 100% trustworthy because they have financial interests. Or people would tell like, wow, that's shitty, I have bad experiences during night, or it was painful, or blah 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 blah. When they had bad experiences, then they would post it. But nobody would write, okay, it's 1.5 years ago, or it's 5 years ago, or it's 10 years ago, and now my eyes are like that. This would be very interesting for others who want to do the surgery, so please do the same as me. Post something on the internet, or post below in the comment section. Thank you very much. Bye bye.